Thanks for checking out our podcast. If you are interested in learning more about writing, go check out our syndication page, seriouswriter.com, where you can find resources, articles, videos, topical classes, and the Brew and Ink podcast. Again, seriouswriter.com. We thank you for listening.
All right, and welcome everybody back to another Brew and Ink podcast. We are here with Britt.
What's up?
And we're here with Katie.
Hey there.
And we're here with myself, Stephen SM Freehand. And we're happy to be here with you guys today. And we'll start off with what we're drinking, because Britt was looking at it very,
It's pretty good,
he's
actually.
enjoying it.
I think it's pretty good.
We've had this one before.
What is this one?
It is the Rock and Roll, like a rock beer?
Rock and beer,
Yeah, rock beer. So it's a German beer. And it's delicioso.
I like it.
Yeah, very nice.
Medicinal cherry notes, but smooth going down.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And of course, it's brought to us by Still Fire Brewing,
Yep.
because they're
My
awesome.
bros.
Yes.
My bros over there.
Beer was originally brewed as medicine, so
There you go.
Yeah,
That's true.
hops
and
are good for you.
And
Yes.
like in Egypt, it was like to calm children. They
Yeah.
used it to calm children.
You
in
know,
Egypt.
it's funny. I learned that about wine too. Like, wine was actually used as like their medicinal, like what we would use as capsules or like gel caps. It was anytime they needed like an herb or a spice or something, or some sort of medication, they usually put it in wine to help it dilute and be
Yeah.
drinkable.
You don't need grapes for it to be wine.
that too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like a puppy. Like, you got to put it in the...
You don't need
Yeah.
grapes
food.
to be a puppy.
No, you put the medicine in something to get
Yes.
And just a little fun fact, someone from my church texted me this afternoon and said that they were watching a documentary on Martin Luther, and that said that he drank so much beer, they called him the king of hops.
Really?
I never knew that. I did not know that. I mean, I knew he drank a lot of beer. That's why he switched the Sunday service to like 10 o'clock, because he was out all night on Saturday night.
Really?
Yeah.
You need some time to recoup.
Nice.
He was out at the pubs because he was learning the popular songs and putting different words to them.
Oh, so you go to the pubs,
He'd
learn
go to
the
the pubs and learn
songs
like
that everyone knew.
the pop songs of his day, and the hymns that many Lutherans sing, and many
Are
people
based off of those.
hymns are based off of drinking songs from the whatever that was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like
I agree.
history. So we are going to continue our story, but first we're going to talk about a topic. We're going to talk about what we're going to do creative-wise, any kind of creative endeavor that we plan to do over the holiday season.
Yeah.
And
And
I know.
and I think this one is because of COVID. I think there might actually be more time for me
Right.
personally.
Whenever I think that, for some reason, it doesn't go as planned.
As it goes.
Yes.
Right?
So it goes.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But I do. Every time there's a holiday coming up, I think, okay, how much time am I going to spend writing? Am I going to wake up early? I usually don't sleep in often. There's maybe like one day a week where I'll sleep in. But I'm usually thinking to myself, okay, if I can wake up early, that's a good solid 3-4 hours maybe.
Yeah.
That I can get some writing in. But also, I have so many other creative kind of endeavors that I end up doing. I definitely have to, over this next week, I need to get some photos done of my family so we can print out Christmas cards and get those
Nice.
sent. So I usually take our own, because I have all the photography gear.
Yeah, you do. And you're
so-
good at it.
Yeah, that's one of those endeavors that I have on my checklist. Also, I haven't gotten my Christmas decorations up yet.
Yeah.
Me either.
You know what? It's okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened between last year and this year, but like so many strands of lights not working. Our blow up Marshall isn't working. My laser lights aren't working. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to go out and buy a bunch of new decorations this
Yeah.
year.
Last year we bought a Christmas tree 2 days before Christmas, and it stayed up till mid-March.
Yeah. Well, wow. Yeah, you went the distance.
Yeah.
Very
She's
nice.
going
The distance.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once there's a COVID lockdown, now you can take down the tree. I think that's the rule.
Yeah. What about you, Britt? You have any?
I started a middle grades novel, the Superhero Grandpa, that I've been wanting to start, and I finally started it.
We almost did that as a podcast series.
We almost did.
Yeah.
I'm one of those kind of writers, like, I need to get the shape of it. It's almost like sculpting.
Yeah.
Like when you hear people, I've never sculpted.
You just stare at it for a while.
But you have to know the shape, and then you just take away, all that stuff. So it's kind of how I am about writing. I don't need to have all the details like in my brain. I just have to have the shape of the story. Like, what's the shape? Where am I going?
Yeah.
What's the theme? What's going on? And then stuff surprises me along the way. But I have to, so I finally, I think, got a good shape of the story. So I just kind of started it. So I'm hoping to get that. I don't know about finished, but I'm hoping to work on it.
Nice.
Through most of December, because middle grade novels are shorter.
Right.
They're 35, 40,000 words. So I don't know if I'll finish it, but if I get a couple good days in, I could.
Right.
I mean, think about it. If you write 2,000 or 3,000 words in a day, I mean, it adds up.
Yeah, if you double that in a day.
Yeah. So
On a good day.
so that's kind of that and I need to edit. So on the brewery book, I have edits to do that are due by the beginning of January.
Dun, dun, dun. That's
So
quickly approaching.
That's quickly approaching. And if anybody's been listening and you've been wondering about what's been going on with the beer books that I said were going to come out in the fall of 2020, well, they have been delayed to the summer of 2021.
Oh, wow.
So,
you had to do some more on-site research.
as I'm doing now.
Yeah. Are you going to be doing any vacationing to the cabin where you get a lot of reading and writing done sometimes?
Not over
Not over
Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
No, it gets pretty cold and snowy up there, man. I mean, we don't really have the kind of vehicle to make
yes.
it up the mountain.
Gotcha.
And we've got, kind of the minivan is not going to make it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
That's a good
At least
point.
not in a way I want it to make it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll make it
A
probably.
little slip, a little slide.
So, but no, but that is something we'll probably try to do in the spring. But
I've been thinking about painting some Christmas cards,
Oh, that'd be
getting
nice.
something printed. We'll see if it actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
As far as writing goes, it doesn't really stop with I know we're going to be probably doing a lot more Dungeons and Dragons now that everybody's schedule is going to be a little freer over the holidays.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, and that is such fun storytelling. I love the collaborative aspect of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably just the Christmas card. With having a toddler around, I don't quite have the time I used to.
Well, you can also, do creative things for the toddler. Just
I could.
big old piece of paper, some paint on the hands, and just
My
let her go
sister
at it.
actually did a cool thing with her kid. She had a big piece of paper and put paint on it, and then put plastic wrap over it.
Oh, okay.
So
it was like they
so
could
he
smooth
could
it around.
smear it around without actually getting paint on him.
Yes.
And
Oh, wow.
that's a cool idea. I might try
Yeah.
that.
That is cool. I've
Yeah,
got
thank
some
you for
big
reminding
pieces
me.
of paper that you
Yeah?
can use if you want.
Super, like cardstock.
Yeah.
Heck
From
yeah.
work.
Yeah, I need it.
Cool.
yeah, Micah would never do finger painting.
No.
He had this thing about stuff on his hands,
Mm-hmm.
and so he wouldn't like something like that. Like he would
My
do
mom
brushes
said
and
I was the
stuff.
same way. I was one finger at a time. It wouldn't be the whole hand. It'd be one finger. I know it's not really creative, but I'll definitely have some games on my
Cyberpunk?
docket to. Yes, that was coming out, and I will most likely buy it if they release it. And they may delay it again. You never know.
Yeah.
It could be the day before, and they'll push it. I'm just kidding. For anyone that knows anything about Cyberpunk, you.
But
get
the
that
delays
joke.
have been worthwhile.
Yes.
It's been worthwhile.
So I'm excited about that because it's basically the same game studio that did The Witcher 3
Okay.
has been working on this game for 15 years now.
I don't know.
It's
It's
like-
been a while.
It's been a long time, and they kept delaying it and pushing it back, and then they're like, oh, you know what, we're going to redo it for the next gen system, and then it's just been in the works.
Have they put out any versions of the game?
No, it's
No.
been delayed for like
Which I appreciate. A lot of game studios have been putting out basically beta, and
Just so
it's
they
so
could-
full
yeah.
of bugs, and they're
Uh-huh.
expecting people to buy a crazy price
Yeah.
on those things,
Yeah.
and you get
So this is probably the most
quality, yeah.
anticipated awaited game that's
Yeah.
ever
absolutely
been made.
And it's coming out for PS5 or something. What's it coming out for?
Yeah,
Everything?
PS5,
Computers.
PS4, computers,
Yeah.
Okay.
Xbox.
Alright.
It's on what, the 10th? Is it?
I don't know.
I believe it's
My
the 10th.
husband's been keeping an eye on it. The
Yeah.
visuals are beautiful.
Yeah.
The story should be pretty good. It's got Keanu Reeves in it.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
You know.
And pull
Yeah.
out all the stops.
Oh, how about?
does he have to write a song to save the world in Cyberpunk? Is that what
I
happens?
still haven't seen the new one
Oh,
yet,
man.
but I need
It's so
to.
good.
That's the newest Bill and Ted.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
that's so good.
No, but did you hear about HBO Max getting all of Universal's
Yes.
movies?
I have to look at details because I'm wondering if it's going to be like they did with Mulan.
No, so it's not going to be like that. So it's going to be 31 days from the day of theatrical release.
Oh, okay.
It's
They're
just
gonna put it on.
included,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So,
So it's got everyone kind of who has Disney Plus like, hey, what the heck? Like, Disney Plus, get your act together. Do the same thing.
well, they're going to have to compete somehow. They're
Yeah.
going to have to.
How's
make
that
their
going to
money.
affect movie theaters?
I don't know that movie theaters are ever going to come back, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
So the theaters are also getting
Yeah,
the
they'll get
theatrical
'em.
Okay.
releases, but yeah, I just think Universal's thinking most people aren't going out to the theater still, and so they're.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of deal they made
Now-
with HBO, but
In 6 months.
it's a great deal.
It is a great deal, but in 6 months, that might all be different.
Yeah.
But,
I hope
Yeah.
so. I like going to movie theaters.
yeah, me too. Well, and there are
Yeah.
some movies that are included in that package that are like, I don't want to go see Gorilla and King Kong
Right.
at my house. I mean, I
No.
do, but I want to go see that in the theater. Like,
Yeah,
I wanna go see
Godzilla and
that.
King Kong. Yeah, and there's another one. Is it Justice League? The next Justice or
No, Wonder Woman
Wonder
84
Woman.
is coming out at Christmas.
as it Christmas? Yeah. Yep.
So
Now
and I want to see
Disney
that.
Plus did announce that they are releasing Soul, the newest Pixar movie, on Disney Plus on Christmas, and it's not a charge.
Well, that's what they did with like Onward or whatever that one of the
No,
latest.
Onward was a
Onward was in the
theatrical.
theaters.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Right before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And then, but they ended up putting that on Disney Plus like
Pretty
almost
quick.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was such a good movie.
It is.
Yeah, I like
yeah.
that
Made me
one
cry.
too.
Yeah, it was pretty
It was
good.
pretty legit.
Yeah.
We really liked it. Yeah, for me, I think it's just going to be making sure that you carve out time
Yeah.
to write. You have to carve out the time, and you're right. Like it sounds like, oh, I'll have more time, and then you get days into it, and you're like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
I've watched Elf for the 5th time,
Man,
or
I still
whatever.
haven't done that this year yet.
Oh man, we
This-
watched it
what's our
before
go-to?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, Liam started with Home Alone
Yeah. Oh yeah.
before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're gonna get into more of that, but Micah threw a little revolt when we pulled out Elf the week before Thanksgiving. He had a little.
He's like, this
freaked
is
out.
not yet.
One holiday at a time.
Yeah.
One that's how he feels. That's how he.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, but no, I just as we were talking earlier about this topic, it's one of those things where for writers, most writers. It's not the kind of thing where if you're going to write a book or do something creative or painting even, it's usually not something where you go and you get a degree and then you go get the job and that's your 9 to 5. I
Right.
mean, a lot of these are passion projects or you work on them while you're working other things. You've
Yep.
got a job. So, I've had very few days off.
Right.
If you count writing, I've had very few days off for a couple, 2, 3, 5 years.
Yeah.
It's just been, you find the time.
And if you
do
don't,
it.
you feel it.
And you-
your
yeah.
soul's like,
Yeah.
But yeah, you really do have to get yourself in the mindset of like, this is what I'm going to do. We will definitely, part of our creative process will be continuing the story over the holidays.
That will be
Get a
happening.
couple more episodes in. And I don't know how many. It's probably going to wrap up after January.
We might take a little break for a couple of weeks, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but then we'll
Yeah.
pick it back up in the beginning of January.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end, I think. So
We are the beginning of the end.
This is the end. My only friend. Come on, I'm old.
Yes.
I know it all. I don't know any. I can't remember like what I did today, but I can remember all the lyrics to most Doors songs.
Yes.
I feel you there.
Well, I guess if we don't have anything else creative that we want to talk about, we can dive right into the story. I had this episode this week, and I was telling Britt, it's one of those things where I thought I was going to sit down and just finish it in a couple hours and be good to go. And I wrote a little Thursday, wrote a little Friday, wrote all Saturday morning, and then wrote all Sunday, basically. And I was like, it's just, one thing after the other, trying to get it finished. And then as details pop up, doing the research and all that, it's like, oh my goodness, what have I done?
Research is the worst.
Yes. Yeah.
It's fun. That's why
fun.
it's the worst. It's
Yeah.
because you start the research and you're like, oh my God, 2
Where'd my
hours
time
is
go?
gone.
Yeah.
I get stuck doing research.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. This is titled Caught in Between. Hero is a 4-letter word. Chapter 10, Caught in Between. The letter arrived late that next day. Pinkerton Detective Agency was scrawled neatly in the left corner and was addressed to Sheriff Arthur Morris. At first, Arthur thought about ignoring the envelope sealed with the official PDA wax seal, but he knew it was his job to open the letter and consider the evidence that Mr. Brooks and his team had uncovered. Arthur eyed what was left of the cold coffee from this morning. I'm going to need something stronger than that, he mused to himself. Grabbing the letter in one hand and what was once his new leather duster, now riddled with 3 sets of holes in it as a reminder of how lucky he was to still be breathing and walking, Arthur locked up the sheriff's office for the evening, planning to head to the saloon. As he stepped outside, a hot, sticky scent caught his attention. Off in the distance, a few buildings down, a group of men labored shoveling piles of rocks mixed with hot coal tar in front of a large stone roller being pulled by a team of flatbacks. The armor plating across the saurians' backs and tails protected them from globs of stray hot tar flung haphazardly as the men feverishly shoveled. Behind these men, steam erupted in plumes of smoke, as a second team kept a steady brigade of water buckets coming to quickly cool the hot mix down and harden into a smooth, black surface. Arthur froze, standing one step off the front stoop of the sheriff's office. His mouth must have been slack-jaw open because a bug flew right in, shaking him from his stupor. He spat in the dirt, looking up just as another man who was watching the work being done ran right into Arthur. "Well, pardon me, good sir," the man said apologetically, "but have you ever seen such a sight?" "No, sir, I have not, Mr. Horace, was it?" "Oh, yes, that's right. We met the other day in my butcher shop when Callie came by," he said, wiping his hand on his trousers and extending a meaty palm full of thick fingers. "Deputy Arthur, right?" "Sheriff now," Arthur said. "My, you're just moving right up the totem pole, ain't you? I don't think I seen you around the past couple weeks. Everything okay with you and Miss Callie?" "I'd like to think so," Arthur trailed off. "Horace, you remember that first time we met? You greeted Callie as the Red Scarf of the Wind. What do you know about this red scarf?" "Well, mostly I just know it's an old native legend," Horace said, scratching his head. "The wandering spirit of a vengeful woman left to roam the wildlands alone. She moves on the wind, letting it take her from one town to another to help innocents get retribution and to punish the wicked. But it's only a legend." "So, why do you call Callie that?" Arthur asked. "Well, I guess it's 'cause she's always wearing a red scarf." "But you said you were surprised to see her with a lawman. What did you mean by that? Is there something I should know?" Horace looked at his feet as he searched nervously for the words to say. "Well, I don't know much, and it ain't my place to tell her story. But a few years back, a man came to town looking for someone named the Red Scarf of the Wind. Ornery-looking fella. He went around door to door asking everyone, threatening folks and the like if they didn't give her up. Well, Eventually, he made it out towards Kylie's ranch, and afterwards, he was never seen in town again. Some say they heard gunshots, but that's just gossip made to make the story more exciting. I'm sure it is, Arthur said quietly, then asked, do you know who authorized this construction to the main road? Well, I'm thinking it's Mr. Whitaker, Horace said. I heard he brought in some big-time engineer from New Jersey named Edmund DeSchmidt to pave this here road. Seems Mr. Whitaker's creating all kinds of new jobs in this town. Says we're preparing the way for the future, for progress. At this rate, Pride's Creek will be a bona fide city by the end of the winter. Arthur pulled out his tobacco pouch and rolled up a quick smoke while he watched the men work. Whatever do we need a paved road like this for anyways? Horace paused to consider this. Well, for starters, it'll make for faster travel across town. Less stress on wagon wheels, but I don't think the Saurians like it. I think it smells of tar pits to them. With all the new locals moving in, we'll need a sturdy road like this. Arthur exhaled, smoke billowing around the brim of his hat. Looking back at the letter in his hand, he figured he better get this done sooner than later, tipped his hat and said, Well, it was nice running into you again, but I've got some official business I need to attend to. Of course, Sheriff. Good day to you as well. Horace waved and headed on down towards the main square. Arthur skirted around the lumbering flatbacks, feeling the heat from the wheelbarrows full of hot coal tar. As he passed the men flash cooling the steaming surface, he saw pedestrians down the way testing out the new road. Arthur toed the black asphalt before putting his weight on it. His boots made a staccatoed clicking sound as he walked down the newly tarred main street. It was smoother than any cart path Arthur had ever seen before. So, this is the future, Arthur mumbled to himself as he approached the swinging saloon doors. He took one last look at the pavement before heading inside. The Sunset Saloon was beginning to fill up with patrons for the evening meal, many of which were new faces, but Mr. Goldberg's familiar ruddy face smiled at Arthur from behind the bar. Sheriff Morris, he called out, good to see you back on your feet. Can I get you a seat at the bar or a table today? Table, please, Arthur said, pointing towards one tucked in the corner behind a pair of support columns. Back there, if I may. Sure thing. What can I get the missus starting for you? He gave one smooth stroke of his well-oiled mustache, twisting it up at the end. Just a glass of whiskey on ice for now, Hubert. Thank you, Arthur said absent-mindedly as he fingered the letter from Pinkerton Detective Agency. Well, that looks mighty official, Hubert said. I'll leave you to it and go fetch your drink. Arthur barely noticed Hubert leave and return with the drink. The caramel-colored liquor had a spicy smell to it and a bite that made Arthur smack his lips after a sip. Taking a deep breath, he slid his finger under the loose edge and popped the wax seal open. Inside was a pile of documents collected from different towns. A map showing each city where a piece of evidence or charges came from against the woman called the Red Scarf of the Wind. It started as far east as Virginia, connecting a path through the Carolinas, Tennessee, Arkansas, and lastly a town near the Texas border, where the trail ended. Arthur took another sip of his whiskey as he read the charges from each account. One man hanged from the rafters in his barn. 2 men found dead in the whorehouse, shot through with a single bullet. Patrons said they last saw them go up together, led by a young girl wearing a red scarf. A 3rd man was found drowned in his well. A 4th was trampled to death by his own horse. It had eaten scarlet loco weed, a berry not found for miles around the town. Lastly, a man and his 2 native companions were found dead, trapped in a barn fire. All these men had had a hand in the gruesome murder of the O'Shea family a decade before. It was said the O'Sheas had 2 girls, but only the youngest was found, no more than 8 months old, head half bashed in on the ground, her body cuddled in the arms of her mother, who had bled out from multiple stab wounds and internal bleeding caused by forced carnal trauma. Mr. O'Shea had been found dead nearby, hands bound behind his back, legs hamstrung, eyelids cut out, forced to watch everything that happened before his throat was slit. Arthur paused after reading the ghastly details, finishing his whiskey with a gasp. He signaled Hubert for another one. The next document listed the bounties that were known to be completed by a young woman donning a red scarf. The dossier claimed she never stayed at a tavern or inn, Always outside the town, somewhere in the wild. Arthur pulled out a wanted poster, commissioned by the sheriff and deputy who had been found hogtied in the cell where they had been holding a native man for hanging. Well, I'll be, Arthur mused to himself as he looked at the unmistakable sketch of Cecil and Callie, a good 20 years younger. Arthur was halfway through his second whiskey when Callie herself came striding in with purpose through the doors of the saloon. Arthur neatly stuffed everything back into the envelope as she spotted him in the corner and approached his table. "I did it!" Callie exclaimed without as much as a hello. "Did what?" Arthur asked, intrigued by the wild look in Callie's eyes. "I got Mr. Schmidt to pull out." "Well, congrats, but who's Mr. Schmidt?" Arthur asked. Callie replied by shoving a ledger in his face. A cold, gnarled finger pointed at the name Eli Schmidt on the list. Next to his name was the title, Chief Labor Investor. "He said he'll pull his funding by the end of the week." Biting her lower lip, Callie's eyes searched Arthur's face for some sort of celebration, but his eyes instead flitted sideways, staring off at something distant. "Callie," he began slowly, "it may be too late at this point. What's going to happen when all the new locals find out you're the reason they lost their jobs? I heard Trace brought in a man from New Jersey to pave that new road out there." "I saw that," Callie said, shaking her head. "Black Claw wouldn't go near the thing. It smells of tar and looks like a river of it." "Look, Callie, I know deep down in my gut Mr. Whitaker is not a good man, but I think we've been beat. We're trying to save a town that's no longer what it once was. It's become a figment of the past." Callie growled, banging her fist on the table. "I won't stand by idle. It's not in my nature." Arthur waited for Callie to catch his eye. "And another thing, it seems your past has caught up to you," he said, showing her the dossier from Silver City. "I can't ignore this forever, especially with the pressure from Whitaker to take action on it. I'm sorry, Callie." Callie did not look over everything. She saw the wanted poster and that was enough. She knew what was in that dossier. She had seen others like it before and had done away with them when she had the chance. "You plan on taking me in, Sheriff?" "No, not yet, Callie. But I am going to need that ledger you've got there. I've been requested to return it to its rightful owner."
Yeah.
All right, that was chapter 10. Ooh, you know what I just realized? We get a spin again for our next set of
The Wheel
choices.
of Doom. Let's do it.
The Wheel of Doom. While I'm getting this, you guys feel free to discuss amongst yourself anything that you liked or didn't like from that chapter.
Oh, wait. We're supposed to do stuff we didn't like?
Well, there was some pretty rough, gruesome things in there, and
Yeah, there was.
I didn't like that.
yeah, it was hard for me to write it too, but I had gotten those sort of details from actual research book that I was reading about,
Yeah.
kind of what actually happened to people in the Wild West days.
You know, hopefully, when you do the editing, you should put like the Civil War kind of violin thing, like
Yeah.
behind it.
It's a good idea.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say sound effects of it all happening.
Oh,
It's like,
man.
No, sorry.
It's like I
I
am not.
I like Black Claw, like that we brought.
Yeah.
I think that's she, right? She,
Yeah,
she's the real deal. We're bringing Callie back in. I like how you brought in. There are more changes going on in the town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kind of presses the conflict and stuff like that.
I won't bore you with how much details I learned about paving roads, and especially in a late 1800s fashion.
Yeah.
But it took me forever to figure out, like, would they have thrown water on it to flash cool it quickly, because that was a detail I wanted in there, because I wanted the steam and the bucket brigade and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, but is it accurate? I don't know. But I mean,
Was it accurate?
I finally found some details about
This one guy did it this one time.
using water. I just don't know if it would have been, to what degree. I know they use it nowadays, but they have machines that
Oh, sure, right.
do it all. So I'm like, So yeah, that was one of the things that
Not in South Carolina, though. In South Carolina, I don't know what they do to those roads, but
they just wait for it to rain.
they just
Goodness.
All right, here we go. This is spin number 1. This is going to be for Katie's episode. Death.
Oh, yeah.
We have death as an option.
Okay.
And
I accept.
oh, and Writer's
Choice.
Well, you got the two ones that are very unique. They're only on there once each.
I've got some ideas for this one.
Very cool. So those will be fun. One way or the other, it's going to be very entertaining.
I agree.
Well, this was fun. I enjoyed writing this episode, even though it took me longer than I intended. Like I said, you plan. You're like, okay, yeah, I'll do some writing, get it done in a few hours. 3 days later, you're like, oh gosh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it usually goes for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It was a good episode, man. And I dig it. I think we're getting close to the end. We'll probably have to, like we said, finish it in January, but it's good.
Get there.
And then I'll the outro song of the last episode will be The Doors.
Will it? Well, yeah, it should. Or at least me singing it. I don't know if we'll get the rights to the actual.
Yeah, we won't play the whole song.
Yeah.
Anyways,
people should subscribe.
I mean, I've got some nice squeaky doors.
Oh, there you go.
Like and subscribe. Follow us on all the social medias.
Yes. And as always, raise that glass to inspiration.
That's right.
And stay inspired, guys.
I had a teacher in high school.
Yeah.
Her name was Miss Finger.
Oh gosh.
And she had on this back when you did attendance, like with paper, and right outside her door, and there was this little file folder thing where it said finger attendance, and every day I'd walk in and go, yep, they're all here.
I got them all.
I mean, it was a bad joke. I just kept using it.
You entertained yourself. That's all that matters.
She hated it. She was like,
she's like counting on the days. How many?
that
more
was
days?
the actual entertaining part, is the fact that it would bother her.
I was trying to see what you're looking at.
No, I was trying not to chew in the microphone.
It's like there's something over there, over my shoulder.
The Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah.